Hello everyone. Life has its own mysterious ways of testing the heart. Past wounds often leave shadows, yet sometimes they also give us the strength to face the future with courage. In the story of CEO Toan and Ly Tu Diem, fate seems to weave them together again and again, even when the world tries to pull them apart. But this time, destiny brings a storm that no one could have predicted. Why did CEO Toan's mother suddenly come to see Ly Tu Diem? What hidden reasons pushed her to confront the woman who had quietly entered her son's heart? And more importantly, how would CEO Toan react when love and family collided in such an unexpected way? This is not just a meeting between two women. It is a battle of love, pride, and truth, where every word spoken could change the course of their lives forever. The quiet of the late afternoon was broken by the sound of footsteps outside the small garden house where Ly Tu Diem had been staying. She looked up from the bundle of herbs in her hands and froze. Standing at the gate was a woman of grace and authority, Madame Lan, the mother of CEO Toan. Her presence alone carried the weight of wealth, power, and years of commanding respect. Diem's heart raced. She had once feared this day would come, that Toan's family would confront her, question her worth, or even demand that she leave his life. She quickly wiped her hands on her faded skirt, unsure of how to face the woman whose son had saved her, whose kindness had kept her alive. Ly Tu Diem, Madame Lan spoke firmly, her eyes sharp but not unkind. We need to talk. Inside the small room, silence hung between them. Diem sat nervously, her fingers twisting the corner of her scarf, while Madame Lan studied her carefully. For a moment, the older woman's face softened, almost as if she saw something familiar in the young woman's timid yet resilient gaze. I came here, Madame Lan finally said, not as the mother of a CEO, but as a mother who has watched her son suffer. Since the day you appeared in his life, he has changed. He worries less about wealth and more about people. He looks at you with a light I have not seen in his eyes for years. Tears welled up in Diem's eyes, but she quickly shook her head. Madam, I never wanted to trouble him. Toan has given me more than I deserve. I only wish for him to find happiness, even if that happiness means without me. At that moment, the door opened. Toan himself walked in, carrying a small basket of fruit, his expression calm until he saw his mother sitting with Diem. His steps faltered. Mother, Toan said slowly, why are you here? Madame Lan turned to her son, her voice steady. I came to see the woman who has captured your heart. I wanted to know why you would give up everything, your health, even your fortune, searching for her. She looked at Diem, then back at her son. Now I understand. Toan's reaction stunned them both. Instead of being tense or defensive, he smiled gently and placed his hand over Diem's trembling one. Mother, he said, his tone filled with quiet strength, Ly Tu Diem is not a burden. She is the reason I am still standing today. Without her, I would have lost myself. If you came here to test her worth, then look at me now, alive, stronger, and ready to fight for the future, all because of her. Diem shook her head, overwhelmed, but Toan tightened his grip as if to reassure her. Madame Lan's eyes glistened, though she tried to hide it. For once, the woman who had always believed money and power solved everything was confronted with something she could not buy: the raw, undeniable bond of love. The unexpected reaction of CEO Toan was not one of anger or fear, but of unwavering devotion. It was his silent declaration that no matter what obstacles stood before them, he would not let go of Ly Tu Diem. And in that fragile emotional moment, Ly Tu Diem realized something she had never dared to believe: she was no longer alone. When Toan walked into the living room and saw his mother sitting across from Ly Tu Diem, his heart stopped for a moment. The air was heavy, almost too quiet, as if even the walls were holding their breath. His mother, Madame Lan, was a woman of strong presence, graceful but unyielding, with eyes that could read through any lie. She rarely visited anyone unannounced, and never someone like Tu Diem, a girl whose past was entangled with pain and scandal. Toan's steps were quick, his tone concerned. "Mother, what brings you here?" His voice betrayed both curiosity and unease. Madame Lan turned her gaze to her son, calm but piercing. "I came because I needed to see her with my own eyes," she said, her words measured, her expression unreadable. She looked back at Tu Diem, who sat quietly, her hands folded tightly on her lap, her eyes lowered like someone bracing for judgment. Tu Diem had expected this day. A part of her had always feared the moment Toan's family would question her worth, remind her of the scars she carried, the labels she could never erase. Yet, she sat there with quiet dignity, refusing to let fear strip away the little strength she had built. Toan moved closer, standing beside Diem as if his presence could shield her. His unexpected reaction was not anger, nor Shamit was defiance. He looked directly at his mother, his voice firm. "If you came here to question her, then question me too. Because every choice I made bringing her into this house, standing by her, was mine alone. She saved me, mother, more than once. If you cannot see that, then you do not see me." The silence that followed was sharp, almost unbearable. Madame Lan's lips pressed together, her composure flickering for a brief second, as if she had not anticipated such resolve from her son. She had expected hesitation, perhaps even guilt, but not this unwavering loyalty. Tu Diem, startled by Toan's words, felt her chest tighten. No one had ever stood for her like this, not even her own family. She wanted to protest, to tell him not to risk conflict with his mother for her sake, but her voice was trapped in her throat. Madame Lan finally exhaled, her expression softening just slightly. "So this is how much she means to you?" she murmured, half to herself, half to him. Her gaze lingered on Diem again, this time not with disdain, but with something closer to cautious curiosity. The battle was not over, but something had shifted. For the first time, Toan's mother had come face to face with the woman who had not only entered her son's life, but had also changed the very core of who he was. And in that living room, beneath the quiet tension, a new chapter began, one that would test the strength of love, the power of forgiveness, and the courage it took to fight for both. Tu Diem lowered her gaze, her heart racing as she tried to steady her trembling hands. The room felt too quiet, the ticking of the clock echoing like thunder. She never imagined that the mother of CEO Toan would appear before her so elegant, so commanding, yet with eyes that carried the weight of unspoken emotions. Tu Diem, the older woman began softly, breaking the silence. "I did not come here to judge you. I came to understand." The words pierced through Tu Diem's guarded heart. She had expected accusations, rejection, or perhaps even an order to stay away from Toan. Instead, she found a voice full of curiosity, concern, and something she had longed for her whole life. Gentleness. Tears welled into Tu Diem's eyes, but she forced herself to smile. "Madam, I am not someone worthy of your son. My past is painful. I don't want to burden him, or your family." At that moment, the door opened, and Toan stepped in. His expression shifted instantly when he saw the two women together. He had feared this day would come, his mother facing the woman he had vowed to protect. But what surprised him most was not confrontation, but the softness in his mother's eyes. "Toan," his mother said calmly, "why did you not tell me sooner about this girl who carries such sorrow, yet such strength?" Toan was speechless for a moment. He looked at Tu Diem, then at his mother, his heart torn between fear and hope. He had expected resistance, even rejection, but never this. Taking a deep breath, he answered, "Mother, because I wanted to protect her until the day she could stand before you with dignity. She is not just the woman who saved my life. She is the one I wish to spend my life with." Tu Diem's eyes widened, her lips parting as if to protest, but no words came out. The unexpected declaration left the room heavy with emotion. His mother studied him for a long time, then turned her gaze back to Tu Diem. Slowly, she reached out her hand. "Child, life has hurt you enough. If my son believes in you, then I want to believe too." The conversation in the quiet living room grew heavier with every second. Toan's mother sat upright, her eyes still fixed on Tu Diem. "I did not come here to fight you," she said at last, her voice trembling slightly, betraying the storm of emotions inside. "I came because my son has changed. He is not the same since he met you. And as a mother, I must understand why." Tu Diem lowered her gaze, her hands twisting nervously in her lap. "I never meant to change him," she whispered. "I only wanted to help him when he was in danger. That is all." But Toan, who had been silently standing nearby, finally stepped forward. His reaction startled both women. "Mother," he said firmly, his tone carrying both warmth and authority, "I am grateful that you care, but please, do not see Diem as a threat. She is the reason I am alive. She is the reason I found courage to fight through everything. If there is anyone who deserves your understanding, it is her." His unexpected words filled the room with a tension no one had prepared for. Toan had always been respectful, careful with his mother. Yet in this moment he drew a clear line, choosing to protect Diem, even if it meant standing against his own family. Tears welled in Diem's eyes. She had never imagined someone would defend her with such determination. She wanted to speak, to thank him, but her throat felt tight. The mother looked at her son in silence. For the first time, she saw a side of him that was not the polished CEO, not the obedient child, but a man who had chosen his own path, his own heart. Finally, she sighed. "If she truly means so much to you, Toan, then I will give her a chance. But Diem," she turned her gaze back to the fragile young woman, "do not ever hurt my son. His heart is precious, and now, it is in your hands." Tu Diem bowed her head, her voice trembling but sincere. "I promise, I will never hurt him." And in that moment, something shifted. The storm that had threatened to tear them apart gave way to the first rays of fragile understanding. In every story of hardship and love, there lies a deeper truth about human strength and compassion. The encounter between Tu Diem, CEO Toan, and his mother teaches us that life's most meaningful connections are not built on wealth, status, or reputation, but on sincerity and understanding. Tu Diem carried scars from her past, and for a long time she believed that these scars made her unworthy of love. Yet, it was her resilience, honesty, and quiet dignity that eventually softened the heart of Toan's mother, a woman who had judged her at first through the lens of fear and social expectations. Toan himself showed that true love is not about possession, but protection. Not about appearances, but about standing beside someone when the world tries to push them away. From this, we learn that kindness can break down walls that pride has built, and patience can transform even the hardest hearts. Life will always test us with misunderstanding, rejection, or loss, but how we respond to these trials defines who we truly are. When we choose compassion over judgment, and courage over fear, we not only heal ourselves but also give others the chance to heal.